Very good morning. Today we are discussing the last topic of module 5, that is code generation. So we already know code generation is what it is the last phase of the compiler and it is considered as a backend. Okay. Now, when we are considering code generation, it takes as input the intermediate representation produced by the front end of the compiler and along with symbol table information, because finally when we are generating the code, these particular tokens and all, what is the meaning of that, all these things are which is stored in the symbol table, that is required, and it produces as output a semantically equivalent target program. So that is what the purpose of code generation. Okay, it produces semantically equivalent to target program. And mainly code generation means three tasks will comes into picture, that is instruction selection, what type of instruction we wanted to use, and then register allocation and assignment, very important part of the code generation, that is with respect to registers. Anyway, we'll discuss that in detail. And next one more, that is instruction ordering. To make the efficient code, instruction ordering is important task. Okay, and when we are talking about this particular code generation, some issues we have to consider, that are the issues in the design of code generation, that is input to the code generator. Okay, how the input is considered, uh, that one. Next, the target program. Okay, and that means this is also another important phase where we have to consider the code with respect to target program. Next, instruction selection. The various types of instructions are there, and which one you are selecting, and on what basis it will be selected, that one. Register allocation. How to select the registers, and how many registers are available, all these things we have to consider. Then evaluation order. Okay, so how evaluation order will constitute in the generation of efficient code. So these all are the issues we have to consider when designing a code generator. Input to the code generator, the target program, instruction selection, register allocation, evaluation order. Okay, now we'll discuss this one by one. So please remember the important point in this particular heading, because it comes together. If somebody asks you, like, explain various issues in the design of a code generator, means this heading you have to provide, and under each heading, what are the points to remember, that you please note. First one, input to the code generator. Input to the code generator means what? Intermediate representation of the source program produced by the front end is what the input. Okay, so the previous particular phase is intermediate representation itself, is it not? That acts as an input to the code generator. Information in the symbol table is determined runtime addresses. Okay, because information in the symbol table is also very important, which stores the actual variable name. Okay, that is determined. Next, intermediate representation, that is called IR, include three address representation, and like when we are representing three address, it is either through quadruples or triples or indirect triples. And if we are considering graphical representation, it is through syntax tree or direct acyclic graph. Okay, so these all are what actually considered as an input to the code generator. So you have to bring out these points. Next, the target program. What is actually the target program? The most common target machine architecture are RISC or CISC or stack based. Okay, because any particular architecture, most of all, it is based on RISC or CISC only. Even stack based is also outdated. Okay, because when we are generating the code, we have to keep this architecture in mind. If we are considering RISC, it contains many registers, three address instructions, simple addressing modes, and relatively simple instruction set architecture. That is what RISC indicates. And CISC, it is complex architecture. That means only few registers and two address instructions, variety of addressing modes, several register classes, variable length instructions like that in CISC. Okay, if we are considering stack based, operations are done by pushing operands onto stack and performing the operation on the operands at the top of the stack. That's what the stack based operations are. But stack organization are too limiting, require too many swap and copy operation. That's why it will not be used. And the main focus when we are considering the target program, that means target program means for what architecture you are producing the code. Okay, whether for CISC architecture or RISC architecture. If you are considering RISC architecture, the plenty of registers are available, you can make use of that. But if you are concentrating on CISC, how to rearrange so that in the available register itself you have to accommodate many tasks. Okay, so that's what the information about target program. And after this, the next our issue is instruction selection. It is another important. Instruction selection means what? See, when we are selecting the instruction, okay, three issues you have to consider. The level of IR, okay, level of IR, and then intermediate representation. IR means, okay, level of IR, desired quality of the generated code, and then nature of instruction set architecture. These 3 points you have to consider: level of IR and quality of the code and nature of instruction set architecture. We'll discuss one by one. What is this? First one, level of IR. Level of IR, see, when if the IR is high level, that means it is not relying on inner details. Okay, that's what high level means. Just superficially it is telling, means code generator translates statement by statement, produces poor code that needs further optimization. That means what actually intermediate representation represented, that itself we are transferring line by line as a code. Okay, it is not that means we are not worrying about the its inner working. Okay, just as it is we are transferring, and that requires further optimization. You have to see, you have observed that when we given the example like b star minus b plus b star minus c, that means b and c is read twice. That means after intermediate representation, if you directly transfer that into code, okay, once again you have to optimize. Okay, that is what level. High level means this is what happens. If IR is low level details of underlying machine, then the code generator generates more efficient code sequences. Okay, that means if intermediate representation itself giving the details about underlying machine, okay, low level details of underlying machine, okay, then the code generator generate efficient code sequences. That is what the first instruction selection. When we are considering instruction selection, you have to decide whether it's just high level transferring as it is, or you have to verify the inner details of the intermediate representation. Next, after discussing the level of the IR, next is the nature of instruction set architecture. When we consider instruction set architecture, okay, the strong effect on the difficulty of instruction selection. That means nature of instruction set architecture. That means when you are selecting this, it makes major impact on the architecture. That means what? Strong effect on the difficulty of instruction selection. How it is? If target machine does not support each data type in a uniform manner, that means normally if target machine does not support, because you know, like integer or character or floating type, means separate handling is required. It requires special handling. How it is? You know, like floating point accumulator. If you have wanted to perform floating point, separate hardware is required. All these things, if you are considering, Okay, then the target machine selection majorly impact on the instructions. If, for example, see this example, load or not with y, add, that means add which is in the R naught to Z, and result is stored in R naught. Okay, finally the value of the R naught you are transferring to X. If you observe this particular code, it is just like the expressions what we are writing, X equals Y plus Z. See the example, X equals Y plus Z. Y we loaded and Z we added, and the result is transferred to X. Is it not? That means how well you will see this particular data type. If it is integer type, you will just write like this, and if it is float type, you will add separate instructions which is required to handle that. Okay, like that the nature of the instruction is depending on the particular impact on the architecture. Next point, that is desired quality of the generated code. So quality of the code, it is determined by its speed and size. How you are identifying the quality of the generated code, how fast it is, okay, and the size it takes. For example, if I write a is equal to a plus 1, see, we are loading a, and we are adding 1, and we are storing that into a itself. See this is what load and add operation. But you know that instead of that, machine architecture may give the instructions like INR, which is INCR, which is incrementing. Okay, instead of writing loading and adding 1 to that, you can directly write this with the instruction like INCR, which will increment. Okay, so increment 1 with the accumulator is directly add 1 to the particular uh, register which is loaded in the accumulator. So this is what happens here. That means the type of instruction also gives the quality. That means instead of processing, loading and adding to that and once again storing, see, that will reduce the speed, and many operations are required. So that's how the architecture and the available instructions will make the quality of the generated code. Okay, this is what you have to discuss under the heading instruction selection. Next topic is register allocation. This is next issue in designing the code generator. Register allocation means what to consider. A key problem in code generation is deciding what values to hold in what register. Okay, that is very important aspect. That is, registers are the fastest computational unit on the target machine. But the problem with the register is usually do not have enough of them to hold all values. Especially this means still problem. Okay, number of available registers are very less. So how to allocate and how to assign, these are the two issues you have to consider. First one, register allocation. Second one, register assignment. What is the difference? Register allocation means what? Register assignment means what? See, register allocation means selection of the set of variables that will reside in registers at each point in the program. See, register allocation means we have to consider with perspective of variables which will put into the register. Our focus is on variables, okay? Set of variables, which one you wanted to put. That is what register allocation. Next, from that side, register assignment, picking the specific register that a variable will reside in, okay? Choosing the register is what register assignment, okay? And choosing the variable to put into the register is what register allocation. Read the definition clearly. Selection of the set of variables that will reside in registers at each point in the program. That is what register allocation. Selection of the set of variables. Okay. Next, picking the specific register. That's what register assignment. Which register you will pick? to put the variable. That is what register assignment. Which set of variables you will select to put into register. Okay, that is what allocation. And register allocation is another challenging task. That's why when we are representing in intermediate form, according to that, with the number of available registers, according to that, we'll go on assigning, and we are reusing the registers. Okay, that is another important property in code generation process. And the last phase, that is evaluation order. Order in which computations are performed can affect the efficiency of the target code. Okay, because according to rearranging the orders, you can generate the efficient code and you can consume the less time like that. Some computation orders require fewer registers to hold the intermediate result, as I told. Okay, some computations orders require fewer registers to hold the intermediate result. Okay, if some computation it is already available in the accumulator, means once again transferring, storing some other registers, it's not needed. Directly you can compute like that. You can rearrange. Okay, rearrange will make the efficient use of registers. Like that, the efficient code. Picking the best order is difficult. Once again, it is like NP completeness. You can't define this is the way so that you can get the best selection. Okay, it is once again NP complete problem. And evaluation order, continuously you have to work out to get the efficient code. Okay, so these all are the issues. You under the each heading you have to bring these particular informations and you have to discuss. Then we'll take one simple example what we are considering in our module, that is target language. A simple target machine model. Simple target machine model, what we are considering here is consists of which work out with this type of operation, load operations. We are representing LD, R1, R2, okay, which indicates R2 is loaded into R1. Then store operation, R is stored in X, ST, which represents store. Then computational operation, destination, SRC1, SRC2. That means if I write sub is operation, or add is operation. So R1 is the destination, source 1, source 2, R2 and R3 is subtracted and the result is available in R1. That's what the meaning, computation operation. And like that unconditional jump, so it is a branch loop, is it not? So BRL, that means if condition, without any condition, you are jumping to the location L. And then conditional jump, VLTZ or L. See this, here location is L. Where you are jumping, that is through towards L. But what is this R? That is, if R value is less than 0, okay, BLTZ less than 0. Where less than 0? If registered value R is less than 0, you jump to L. Okay, that is what conditional jump. And along with that, some addressing modes. Immediate addressing mode, how we are representing, see this, like this. Load R1 with the value 100, hash indicates immediate. Indirect addressing, this star indicates indirect. Okay, it is content of 100 plus content of R2. Okay, so content of content. Okay, that's what indicated by star. Indirect addressing, which you already know. And indexed, integer indexed, just 100 indicates the index location. You can represent the same thing with the variable also, R1, A of R2. That means it is also indexed address. So these are the various addressing modes and operations what we are considering. Once you consider this, we'll see some of the examples like how to write the code. Okay. First example, we'll take X is equal to Y minus Z. You just observe first what we are making, we are loading Y, and for that you are subtracting Z, and the result will be stored in X. Is it not? That is what the meaning of that. We'll take the example, load R1 with Y. Okay, first you are loading R1 with Y, and after that you are loading R2 with Z. Okay, and because the instruction what we are considering here is like that. You can directly subtract to R1, okay, but you can write like this also, LD R2 comma Z, and after that subtract. Okay, R1, R1, R2. See the how the instruction what we considered in our target machine, like that we are writing here. Okay, it is not like according to your wish, but here what we considered in the previous slide. Okay, for on the basis of that we are representing this. Okay, after subtracting, the result will be stored in X, is it not? From R1 you have to transfer to X, is it not? So store R1 to X. Okay, this is what X is equal to Y minus Z. See, it is irrespective of any particular architecture. Okay, this is simple logical programming of how assembler code you can generate. Okay, for the target machine. We'll take the example B is equal to AI. How to proceed? See, this is very challenging. You just observe. First thing, you have to load I, because you know that whenever array comes, okay, whenever array comes, you have to worry about the location of that. That means array is of size what? If it is whether a 8-bit or 4-bit or 16-bit. Okay. So like that, you have to operate. You just observe what we are doing here. First, you are loading R1 to I, and after that you are multiplying that R1 to 8. Okay, as I told, if the size of I is 8, okay, that is what you are representing in intermediate representation also. Okay, first if you are writing intermediate representation of this, means first you are transferring T1 to I, and after that you are multiplying T1 with 8, is what you are storing in T2. Okay, and after that you are considering A of T2, is it not? This is what how to represent intermediate representation is equal to T3. Okay, and after that the value of T3 you are transferring to B. This is what intermediate representation. Okay, so when you are generating the code, first you have to load I to R1. You multiply R1 with 8, and the result is what? A of R1 is transferred to R2. Okay, then you have to store R2 to B. Is it not? This is what. Okay, once you understand this, it will be simple. So this is what how to represent for B is equal to A of I. We'll see the next example. A of J equals P. Then how to do this? Okay, here also first you load C to R1, then you load J to R2. Now we have to do R2 multiplied by 8, is it not? So you have to multiply R2 with 8, the result will be stored in R2 itself. Then what? You have to store R1. R1 you have storing to A of R2. Okay, so this is how to generate the code for this particular example. Okay, I hope it's clear, and we'll take a few more examples. First one, X is equal to star 3. Okay, if pointer comes, means how to represent. See, first you have to load R1 with P, and you have to give this notation which indicates you are representing a pointer. Okay, and see this, you are making a pointer of R1 that you are transferring to R2. Now the value of R2 you have to save to X. That's all. Value of R2 you are saving to X. Okay, using store operation. Like that, star P is equal to Y. Then what to do? Here also same thing. Load R1 with P. Okay, and load R2 with Y. And value of Y should be stored in R2, and R2 value should be stored in the pointer of P, is it not? So store R2 in the pointer of P, that is O of R1. Okay, so this is how to represent star P. Next, if some condition, if X is less than Y, go to L, then how to represent this? See, first load R1 with X, load R2 with Y, and subtract R1 and R2, result will be stored in R1. Okay, so like if it is less than 0, okay, if R1, because the result is in R1, is it not? If it is less than BLTZ, then you have to go to some location M or L, whatever the label you can write. Okay, this is what how to represent the code. You please observe what in the example of the target machine we considered a LD, ST, okay, such particular notation itself. Even though if you write LDA or LOAD, that also will not make any problem. But here, for the example what they are given, for that it is written. Okay. In this, you have to concentrate on this particular slide. They how to consider A of I. Okay. Sometimes they may give the size of the variable. Size is 8 means you can multiply with 8. If size is 4, like that, if they are given means you have to multiply by 4. Okay. Or 16, like that. So these are the what the examples of this particular code generation, and this particular topic will complete from this. Okay, various issues and the target machine, and for that sample code. Okay, some more samples are given in exercise. You just go through that. Okay, thank you. And in our previous discussion on our unit 4, this is one there is one heading, operator precedence parsing. Okay, this also just I'll brief you what is operator precedence parsing, because you come across various top down bottom up like that, is it not? And operator precedence also one parsing technique. You just observe the matrix for each operation operators like plus, star, minus. Only this one I am considering, like that open brace, close brace, flower bracket, all the particular symbols which is available in the language, in the programming language, there will be a precedence matrix. Okay, it indicates what is the precedence. If plus plus comes means whether it is equal precedence, plus star comes means star is having more precedence. This indicates more precedence. Okay, and plus division comes means division is having more precedence. Plus star comes means star is having more precedence. Like that, we are having one precedence matrix. I have taken one simple example I generated for plus and star and minus and division arithmetic operators. Okay, we'll take the example a plus b star c minus d. How that will be processed? See, between plus and star, plus lower precedence than star according to the matrix, because plus and star, okay, plus and star, this notation is star is having more precedence. Minus star and minus, star is having higher precedence. Star and minus, if you consider, okay, that is this is having more precedence. That is represented here. Okay, like that it is represented here. So what you have to do is you have to write first according to left onwards. You will start. Is it not? Plus and star, plus and star. You will write that precedence. Then star and minus, star and minus. You will write that precedence. Okay. If you write both, okay, plus and star, that particular symbol, star and minus, that particular symbol. Okay, which indicates that this should be performed first. B and C is, B star C is to be computed before other two operations. Okay, so this will be computed. So this is how the operator precedence parsing works. Okay, this is just for your information. Okay, you when you are reading your fourth unit, you just look at this also. Okay, sometimes you may get this for 4 marks, like how operator precedence parsing works. You have to write one simple